Hey everyone, welcome to our free beginner astrology course. We are going to be discussing the planets today. If you haven't already checked out Module 1, make sure to check that out. That will be your intro to astrology and it will tell you how to pull up your birth chart. And as we go through the rest of this course, I highly recommend you have your birth chart out so you can learn about your chart as we go through this course. Now, one thing I want to knock out before we get into the planets and what they mean is the difference between planet signs and houses. I feel like a lot of people can combine the meaning, like they think Mercury, Gemini, and the third house all mean the same thing when they don't. They might have like overlapping symbolism and associations, but they have completely different functions in the natal chart. And that's really important to understand as we move through this course. To keep it really plain and simple, the planets are the energy itself. The signs are an archetype and it can show how that planet is behaving or misbehaving. And the house is where the energy is being expressed. Okay, the planet is the energy. The signs are about being. The house is about doing. Being versus doing. I took a 17-hour moon intensive by Stephen Forrest. So, yes, 17 hours just studying the moon in astrology. And he described the planets in such a beautiful way. He said that Sigmund Freud splits the psyche into id, ego, and superego, right? The ego is who we think we are, the superego is what we should and shouldn't do, the id is our instincts. Now, the planets in your chart do something very similar, but instead of your psyche being split into three boxes, astrology splits your psyche into 10 planets. Now, the planets and their associations and their symbolism is rooted in the primal structure of nature and natural law, just like us. That's why there's a connection. The planets and us, we all abide by natural law. And what is natural law? Well, it's this theory that certain rules and experiences are inherent by nature. They're sort of universal. They're discoverable for a reason. Example of natural law, if you drop an apple, it falls to the ground, right? That's because of gravity. That's just a universal thing that just exists. Now, the planets aren't just floating around randomly. They're moving in a very specific trajectory because of natural law. So that's something that us humans and planets have in common. We all have to submit to this force. It's bigger than us. Now, astrology looks at the planets and how they're moving on that trajectory and how that corresponds with life events on Earth and with us in our own psyche. And there is a correspondence. And by observing that correspondence, we created the associations and the symbolism. Astrology explores what the movements of the planets mean for us. And each planet shows a different way that energy behaves in nature, which then translates to each planet showing a different way that us humans behave. These planets are 10 different universal human behaviors, 10 different universal parts of our psyche that we all have and we all work with. Now, astrology doesn't say planets create human behavior. No. Astrology says, there's a correspondence between the way the planets move and the human events on Earth. And it's not that the planets are controlling humans. No. Humans have free will. It's that humans respond to the astrological energy. And that's why you could have two people with Mars and Aries, but maybe they use their Mars energy a little differently. Maybe one's more of the bold and fiery side. Maybe one's more quiet, but like aggressive, right? Because you have free will and you can take that energy and work with it however you want. You can't change the fact that you have Mars and Aries, but you could change how you respond to it, how you interact with it, how you integrate it into your life, how you work with it. That is the beauty of astrology, and that is where it empowers you. It reminds you of your free will. It reminds you that you don't have to just submit to the energy of this planet, like you can co-create with it. And I think that's the job of an astrologer is to help you identify the type of energies you have in your chart and all of the different ways you can alchemize it. I hope that was easy to understand for you and kind of gave you a better understanding of the actual function of the planets in the chart. We're going to get into the meaning and associations of the 10 planets. That will further help you understand planets in astrology. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment that down below. I love, love, love answering your questions. I'm going to give you just a basic understanding, but this can be a really deep rabbit hole. Like I said, I spent 17 hours studying the moon alone. So we can spend an entire weekend talking about your sun sign alone. We can spend an entire month talking about Venus alone. Astrology can go very deep. But as a beginner, we're here to just scratch the surface and get introduced to the planets. And from there, if you want to go deep dive into something, please do. That's why I wanted to give this information for free. By the end of this course, you should have enough information to understand your chart, how to read it, how to work with it, but also enough information to be asking the right questions so you can go deep. Okay, now let's discuss the sun. A fun fact, the sun and the moon are not considered planets. They are what we call luminaries. And something that's interesting about the sun and the moon is that they never go retrograde. I don't even want to know what would happen to our Earth if they did. Now, all the other planets, so Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they can all go retrograde. Now, the sun, it radiates light and heat. It acts as the center in our solar system. Everything kind of evolves around it. Now, in astrology, the sun represents your core identity. It's the essence of who you are. It's your vitality, your life force. It is the purpose in this life that your soul wants to achieve. It's the direction that your soul is trying to move towards in this life. It is your expressive, creative energy. The sun is a part of you that needs to be seen by other people. And the sun can represent who you think you are. And who you think you are can change, but you'll always have this general core sense of self that doesn't change. In the natal chart, the sun represents where you develop confidence. And remember, the sign is how and the house is where. Now, the sun points you to the qualities you are learning to embody more fully as you grow into yourself. It acts as your inner center. So this is like the energy that makes you feel grounded. It makes you feel directed. It makes you feel aligned with who you are and your sense of purpose. Now you can connect to your sun sign more by playing with how you express yourself. Be really honest and authentic with yourself. Pay attention to your conditioning and who people told you to be versus who you actually are at your core and taking actions on that. Now let's talk about the moon. This is our other luminary. Now, the moon moves through phases, right? We have our new moon every month and our full moon every month. And I do horoscopes on new and full moon, so make sure you follow me for that. Now, the moon also influences the tides. It reflects this constant change and this constant ebb and flow and rhythm. In astrology, the moon represents our emotional world and how you process your experiences internally. It reflects your sense of comfort, safety, and belonging, family. It's your intuition, your feelings, the way you respond to life on a deeper level, and the way that you bounce back from life's blows. And the moon, commonly in basic beginner astrology, people will say it's connected to the internal world, but it's very much connected to the outer world too. I have TikTok videos on that. I'll try to add them to this playlist. Now, in your chart, the moon can show your habits, your subconscious responses, your emotional patterns, how quickly your mood shifts, and what your overall general mood in life is. It reveals what makes you feel safe. And psychologically, the moon can hold your memory. It's connected to your inner child, and it's connected to the cycles that your body goes through, like the menstrual cycle, if you have that, for example. And it shows you, how do you move through the emotions? How do you process them? What do you do with them? The moon can show you, what do you need to do to help yourself process emotions, because emotions can get stuck and they can live in one place and they can impact our subconscious mind. The emotions can actually live in the tummy and the gut. And so we have to consciously connect with that energy in that part of our body and give our body permission to process it and move it through. So you connect more with your moon side by honoring your feelings and creating space for rest, care, and reflection. Also by honoring your intuition and your gut feelings. The house will represent the actions that you need to take to really process what you are feeling, and the sign is how you do that. Mercury, this is technically our first planet that we're discussing, since sun and moon are luminaries. Now, Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, and Mercury stays very close to the sun. It's never more than 2 signs away. And Mercury is a very quick moving planet. It's actually the fastest moving planet. It's slower than the moon, though. And Mercury represents your mind and how you think, learn, communicate, perceive. It reflects how you process the information and express ideas and make sense of the world around you, and how you try to communicate your inner world, how you try to communicate everything that your moon is going through. It is your perception, your voice, the way you connect thoughts to meaning. In your natal chart, Mercury shows your thinking patterns, communication style, your nervous system. It reveals how quickly you respond to life, how you like to learn, how you like to articulate yourself, and it acts as a bridge between your inner experience and your external expression. And it's interesting because Mercury in Greek mythology is the only planet that's able to go into the underworld and out. So it's able to go into that inner experience and then express what's going on into the outer world. How can you connect to your Mercury? Well, you do that by speaking your thoughts, staying curious, allow yourself to explore and learn and express yourself freely. I think it's important to practice being ourselves unfiltered. That is a way you can connect with your Mercury energy. Next, we have Venus. Now, Venus shines really brightly in the sky. She's like visible half the time, and then she's dark the other half. And Venus also holds intense heat beneath its surface, and it reflects this attraction and intensity. And in astrology, Venus represents love, beauty, what you value, and it connects us with others. It connects us with our pleasure and what's meaningful to our heart. Venus is kind of connected to the juice of life. Like, what archetypes do we need to step into, and what activities do we need to do to really feel connected to like the juice of life? That's Venus energy. In the natal chart, Venus can show your relationship patterns, what you are naturally drawn to, what you find beautiful. It reveals how you create harmony with others, what are you attracted to, and your relationship to money, beauty, and pleasure. And it can shape your self-worth and your ability to receive those things, and it influences both your emotional and material world. You can connect more with your Venus by examining your relationship to beauty and to receiving and giving. You can connect more with your Venus by honoring what genuinely feels good and valuable to you. I always say a healthy Venus knows when to say no. So that is another amazing way to connect with your Venus energy. Practice saying no, because Venus is particular. Venus knows what fits, what's right, what goes. And that requires saying no. Anybody who's ever had to put an outfit together knows that you say no to 100 articles of clothing sometimes before you get the right outfit put together. That's Venusian energy. That is a Venusian action. Next, we have Mars. So Mars is a dry, more rugged planet. It's usually associated with raw energy intensity, the color red. In astrology, Mars represents action motivation, the energy that pushes us forward. It can show how you assert yourself, how do you pursue what you want, how do you handle conflict and anger. It's your drive, your passion, the force that fuels you. In the natal chart, Mars shows how you respond to challenge and how do you use your physical and emotional energy. How do you direct it? It reveals your relationship with your instincts, with self-protection, and how you express desire and passion. It's your inner fire. It's a force inside of you that initiates, defends, and moves you through life with strength. You connect more with your Mars energy by connecting with body and movement, by taking bold action, by expressing your energy, express your anger in a healthy way, and to be more direct. All right, next we have Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is the largest planet in the sky. It has a very powerful gravitational pull that influences everything around it. Now, in astrology, Jupiter represents growth and expansion and the search for meaning in life. It reflects your belief system, your sense of possibility, and how open you are to opportunities. It's your wisdom, your faith, and the way you understand life on a bigger scale. In the natal chart, Jupiter shows where you're meant to expand, explore, and go beyond your current limitations. It reveals how you form beliefs, attach meaning to your experiences, and relate to the world at large Jupiter energy is about faith and your trust in something greater than you. And you can connect to your Jupiter energy by staying open to growth, exploring possibilities. Allow yourself to believe in possibilities beyond what you currently see. Next, we have Saturn. Saturn is very dense and it's surrounded by rings which reflect clear boundaries and structure. Saturn in astrology represents discipline, responsibility, and the structures that shape our everyday, our lives, and our bodies, our minds. It reflects your fears and the areas where you're being asked to grow through discomfort. You need to grow through effort and commitment. It's the energy of mastery, and it teaches you how to build something real and long lasting over time. And in your chart, Saturn can show where you face challenges, delays, or you carry a lot of responsibility, or you're doing a lot of work, or you're building something big. It could show the lessons that require patience and resilience. It can reveal your relationship to authority, responsibility, and long-term growth. Like some of us don't like authority. Some of us would rather work alone and independently. And maybe you have like Saturn in Aries. Some of us want to be the authority. Maybe you have Saturn in Capricorn. But Saturn can help you develop maturity, discipline, and create something real. You can connect to your Saturn by practicing responsibility. Practice doing something you don't want to do but have to do every day. So like a dedicated Saturnian practice is dishes. Like no matter how much you hate it, you do it every day. That's a practice because you're honoring your commitments. You're trusting that consistent effort will lead to long-term rewards. By the way, I know the Saturn return is really infamous. I have a video about that if you would like to check that out. And it actually helps you prepare for your Saturn return. So even if you're not in your Saturn return, but you'd like to start prepping for it, because I believe you should do that, go watch a video. Next, we have Uranus. Now, Uranus is a funny planet. It rotates on its side, which is unusual for planets, and it's a very unpredictable planet. Now, in astrology, Uranus represents innovation, rebellion, sudden change. It is about breaking up patterns. It challenges the norm. It seeks freedom. It's the energy of insight, disruption, new ways of thinking, awakening. And in your chart, Uranus shows where you are meant to evolve beyond limitations, embrace your individuality, respond to change, where you might be seeking liberation, or where you live a bit more of an unconventional life. It's a catalyst and it brings sudden realization and shifts into your lives, but it will push you out of stagnation. You can connect more with Uranus by embracing change, honoring your uniqueness, and allowing yourself to think and live outside of the box. Next, we have Neptune. Neptune is a very deep blue, distant, kind of hard to see planet. There's powerful winds moving across its surface. And in astrology, Neptune represents our dreams, spirituality, the unseen realms that go beyond logic. It's your imagination, your intuition, your connection to something greater than yourself. And in your chart, Neptune shows where boundaries dissolve and where you are maybe more sensitive, intuitive, impressionable. It reveals your capacity for compassion, creativity, spiritual connection. It's where confusion or escapism can rise, but once you tap into it, then you become very intuitive with it. And lastly, we have Pluto. Now, Pluto is small, it's distant, it moves very slow. It has a really irregular orbit. It's a planet of extreme conditions. In astrology, Pluto represents power, transformations, cycles of tower moments, death and rebirth. It reflects deep forces in our psyche that drive change. And this change occurs beneath the surface and it pushes us to evolve. Pluto's about intensity and truth and the process of shedding what no longer serves you. In your chart, Pluto shows where you experience profound inner change and where you confront your shadows. It could reveal an area in your life that maybe feels a little bit more distant from you, like you don't feel as connected to that area of life. It reveals your relationship with control, power, deep emotional, psychological processes. It works at a very subconscious level, but it guides you through cycles of release, renewal, and empowerment. You can connect with your Pluto by facing your truth, embracing change, and allowing yourself to release and rebuild from a deeper place of power. The sign is how, and the house is where. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really hope that you enjoyed this and that you can continue to check out this course. Don't hesitate to ask any questions, and please share this course with anybody who you think would be interested in learning more about astrology. If you would like to go deeper, make sure you follow me because I will be putting out course intensives. And if you would like to stay up to date on that, then just sign up for my astrology newsletter. Don't worry, I won't spam you. I will just let you know when courses drop. And I like to send the horoscopes through Substack. And that's pretty much it. That's what my astrology newsletter is about. It's a great way to keep in touch with me without staying at the mercy of the algorithm. So that way you never miss a horoscope and you won't miss offerings like this. But yeah, thanks for watching. Excited to answer your questions. We'll talk soon. Bye.